here. We're going to start very, very shortly. This is the Vidphone Show with me, Jagat. Soon going to be joined by Mr. Vijeta Shastri. And we're going to be discussing some very interesting things today. Looking forward to hearing all your views. This is again, a show where every week we try and bring about new perspectives, specifically with the, keeping in mind startup founders. And that's the whole idea here. We're going to be talking about everything from customers, sales, product, engineering, funding, a lot of other topics that we'll be sharing. So I think we'd like you to join every week and spread the word. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode. Again, I want to thank all of you for joining in. I'm just waiting for Mr. Vijeta Shastri to join in. And the moment he is in, we will kickstart the Vidphone Show. Of course, the Vidphone Show is something that we have been doing for a few episodes now, and really looking forward to collaborating with more people, to making sure that that there is a platform for people to come together. So I think that's the whole objective here. Akhil is also with us. Thanks, Akhil, for joining in. He's also shared the YouTube link. We are live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook. And of course, we are live on Vidphone. So you can check them out, whichever platform you are. Very, very happy to entertain your comments, your feedback. Just checking with Mr. Vijeta Shastri. I think he'll be joining us very shortly. All right, so in the interest of time, let me get started. Today, I'm going to cover some very, very important topics, right? And if you look at the creative that was out, we were talking about two main things. One is, of course, India's great recovery that we are seeing now. There is no doubt that that this is on its way. And I want to be sharing some facts. Just want to be sharing a few facts here about how this is going to be happening. Vijeta is just joining in. All right. We'll just be waiting a few minutes. Vijeta maybe he's a little bit slightly late, but I think he's just coming in. We'll just wait for Vijeta. I think it's always wonderful to have him with us. We'll probably wait for about a minute more, and then Hopefully we should be starting. Hi, Lakshmi. Glad to have you as well. Thanks for joining in. For those just joining us now, we're just waiting for Vijita, who's going to join us very shortly. And then we will kickstart this episode of the Vidphone Show. Probably give it 1 minute more. All right. So let's get started today. I will, of course, pick up with Vijeta the moment he joins. All right. So what I will do is I will, start off this session by, asking you guys, what do you think about the situation today, right? How are we doing as a country? Do you think we are on a recovery track? Do you think we are in for a lot more damage? Or do you think this is the status quo and this is how, things will be? So very, very interesting to see your thoughts. Please post them in the comments. We have an option to comment there. It would be wonderful to hear your views and also kind of share my own thoughts here. All right. So let me just share my screen here and run through a little bit. I was just doing a bit of research, and what I found is when we do this Google search, it's a very common search, coronavirus, COVID, worldwide. And let's just look at these graphs, right? So this is by a third party. I think all of us feel in our own countries that we can always do better, but a neutral view always helps. And let me just zoom into this. And what's very interesting to note here are these graphs. Of course, you can see worldwide, and I'm focusing on the new cases in the last 60 days. Because I think this is what really tells you, assuming that testing is reasonably consistent. Of course, let's leave all the variables out of the way and just look at the data as it is. Now, when I look at this data, when you just analyze, it doesn't take too much time to say that, hey, there is probably only one country here amongst these top countries where we are seeing a steady decline in the number of new cases. And you can look at these graphs. As they say, graphs do not lie. And this is, of course, a third-party, survey, the third-party statistic. And so the first thing that I must say is that I am really, really excited that our country, we are able to actually, start this downtrend consistently against the new cases. I think this is really a great sign. Of course, this is the festival season here in India. We just finished Dasera, and of course, it's time for good news. Only good things can happen. And I think with this note, I want to actually jump into my presentation now, and let's kind of get started with our thoughts. So, of course, Vijeta will join us soon, hopefully. But yeah, this is the Vidphone Show, 8:30 p.m., just a little over 8:30, 8:35. And today we're talking about two main things, right? Number one, is India the world number one today against Corona? The second, of course, is India's economy fast tracking with video sales, right? And so very quickly, as I just mentioned, previously by showing you the statistics, India is the only democratic country with a steady decline in the new daily COVID-19 cases. And I think that is great news. Now, what does this mean? This means that hopefully, if the status quo prevails and things are continuing to be on the decline, what we can look at is an economic revival. I think the last quarter, there was a lot of talk and a lot of media news about how badly India has done in terms of its GDP coming down. However, let me tell you this. I think now is the time that India is going to start its entire revival process. It's already begun, as per many sources in industry, some of my friends, as well as other associates, and of course the news overall. I think there has been a lot of pickup and things have already begun to get better. And how do we get there? What does this recovery really look like, right? That's, I think, an important question to ask, not only in 2020, but also moving ahead into 2021. The first thing we must understand here is this new customer, and we call him or her the remote customer. For the first time, the customer is not in front, of you face to face. And I think this is one of the biggest changes that has happened in this whole coronavirus pandemic situation. We call this no touch, full trust. The quickest country to address remote customer experience, and by customer experience, we mean marketing, we mean sales, and customer support. Now, the quickest country to address this remote customer experience will win. Another point is that we are seeing the return of small is big. India, with its vast population, has arguably the largest number of small business establishments in the world, and we also have the largest domestic market anywhere in the world. I think these 2 points, but number one, India will, by default, because of our high trust economy, I think India, with its visual and vocal communication platforms, is going to be one of the quickest countries to recover. Number two is, again, the small is big. India is a country of many, many small business units and micro business units all coming together to make this wonderful economy. And I believe that these two factors will play a huge role in the whole recovery and the comeback. This is very, very interesting. We call this the full suite video customer experience. India has always been a land not only of documents, but also of the oral tradition of the visual communication mediums. And I think voice and video are going to play a huge role in India's recovery process. Now, what does this full suite video customer experience mean? It basically means that a business or a company or an organization is able to attract, convert, and retain customers using video communications. We at Vidphone are really excited to give you the entire video suite that we are providing across web, Android, and soon iOS. Using Vidphone, businesses of all sizes and shapes can cater to their customers completely remotely. Let me go ahead and say that 2020s is India's decade. We have the largest working population anywhere in the world. We have a large percentage of English-speaking audiences. India also has the largest adoption of technology anywhere in the world, and we are technology natives. But here's the big thing. India is not only a country that drives on intelligence. India lives on innovation and imagination. And when we look at an economic revival, a 360-degree change in the way business happens, innovation and imagination is the name of the game, backed by trust and transparency. India has always been a trust economy. If we just go back a few years, we will know that the landmark Right to Privacy Act was passed right here in India. Today, all of the cases that are happening with the antitrust issues around the world, we know that India has been at the forefront of protecting consumer privacy and data and providing a secure platform for communications and commerce. We are also backed by one of the largest democratic systems in the world. And this plays a huge role in ensuring that our whole revival is transparent and scalable. Let us keep in mind the factors for success. I just have 3 main points here. The number one is motivation. Nobody can drive a sense of motivation into somebody. Motivation typically happens within the self. And I think it is at the core of every Indian spirit to succeed, to have aspirations, and to move forward. And I think when you look at our large young population, hundreds of millions of young people who are full of aspiration, and also they're also looking forward to how can they play a big role in India becoming a great power. And I think number one is motivation, and I'm really counting on the millions and millions of young Indians who are raring to go. The second is imagination. As I said, a lot of the world's intelligence has failed us. We are still searching for a vaccine. The economy worldwide is in doldrums, and people are looking at how can we actually come back. We cannot apply the same old rules and play the same old games. We need a completely new way of looking at the economy, looking at business success, and looking at customer success. And this requires imagination. India is a land of what they call jugaad. And I'm confident that the Indians, backed with the right technology, are going to find amazing ways to do business in the future. The third and most important thing, one might have great motivation, one might have great imagination, but if one fails at executing, we can be sure that the success is going to be a far-fetched ideal. And so the third is execution. And I think this forms the most important factor of actually our revival. We are here to give motivation. There is the Prime Minister, of course, who is always motivating the country. And I think within each of us, there is a sense of aspiration that will always drive us to do better things. Along with the community, the wonderful ecosystem of startup founders, and an extremely dynamic young population, there is going to be no dearth of imagination and creativity in this country. But what the country really requires is that we have execution, we have an execution mindset, and we keep execution at the forefront of our economic revival. What does execution mean? Execution means doing something periodically and consistently to achieve certain strategic objectives. And we are really excited to say that once we have these 3 things, we are really going to be on the path for revival. So to help specifically startup founders execute this video business model and cater to the remote customer, at Vidphone, we are throwing upon a 30-day challenge to all the startup founders. We want to work with these startup founders. We want to help you achieve your business goals and be able to grow your startup 10x in the next few months. And the next few months really depends on how the next 30 days are going to look like. We are entering November, and I think it's a great time to initiate this whole change process for every single startup and startup founder in India. So this 30-day challenge is going to be, how can you grow your startup 10x? This is all that we care about. Growth, growth, and growth for your startup. So to do this, all you need to do is sign up on Vidphone, vidphone.me, that's vidphone.me. Once you become a registered user, you are automatically in touch with the Vidphone universe. And the second thing is, of course, that you stay connected with the Vidphone universe. As you know, we at Vidphone are initiating a number of initiatives, are initiating a number of programs. League of Extraordinary Startups, Startup Sunday. We are also doing knowledge sessions. Soon we are going to be having a lot more knowledge sessions and other formats to ensure that startup founders have a community, have a sense of oneness, and everybody is able to grow and move forward. 3 main things that you can kind of be in touch with us. Of course, all our Vidphone users are part of our email list. So you will be in touch with the latest happenings, both in terms of our events as well as our product updates. Second is our social media. We are quite active on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook, and of course on WhatsApp. And the third, which is webinars like these, the Vidphone Show, Startup Sunday, League of Extraordinary Startups, and the knowledge sessions that we're also doing on Saturday 2:30. I think all of these form the basis of the Vidphone universe. It costs you no money to be part of the Vidphone universe. But let me tell you that there is a great power in association. And my message right now today to sign off this very, very quick session is let's grow together. Thank you. That was a very quick presentation. And I'm happy to see that Mr. Vijeta is back with us. A very, very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Jagat. Nice to hear this, and and it's so nice that you're always thinking of founders and startups. So a couple of things that Jagat, that I would like to talk to you about, right? So we talk about India, we talk about rural economy, we talk about smaller towns. Many of them have been taking a bit of a hit in the last 6-7 months. So very specifically, okay, for the small town entrepreneur, business owner, someone who's a coach, a yoga or the education, or handlooms, handicrafts, something like that, right? How do they use video sales and build relationship with customers remotely using the technology that Vidphone could possibly offer to them?
Great question. Fantastic. We were in fact discussing this, and one of the things that I said is that video is the great leveler. One of the things, I've always said this before, that productivity tools, video conferencing, all of these IT related tools have been concentrated around Tier 1 cities all the time. It's always around where are the software developers, where are the consultants, and white collar workers who have always been main beneficiaries. But today, let me give you certain examples. Number one, let's take a case of a mason or a painter who's building a house somewhere. Somebody in the construction industry is very, very far away, I would say, from technology as productivity tool. But let's assume that he's in a remote site and his supervisor is in the head office. Once he finishes a particular wall, all he needs to do is switch on Vidphone and actually stream the wall to him and say, look, this is my work for the past couple of hours. How do you think this is? And then the supervisor says, can you just zoom into this particular place? Maybe you need to kind of do a bit of polishing here, polishing there. He can also show that same thing to the customer. Now, the customer also can get a real-time view of what's happening in the construction site. The second, when you come to the trainers, I think trainers have a huge role to play in this whole economic revival in India. Today, a trainer who's in, let's say, Hubli Dharwad, or let's say even in a remote place, let's say in Allahabad in UP, or let's say he's in Solapur in Maharashtra, all of them can get onto the Vidphone platform free of cost. We have no bias towards somebody in a city, somebody outside, somebody who's in a large company or in a small company. And I think that is only to the benefit of all the small players, of all the people in the Tier 2 cities. I'm not calling them really small players, but they've been kind of out of the mainstream startup ecosystem for a long time. And I think by them doing videos, by them doing webinars, catering to their customers on video chat, being able to have video, Vidphone rooms, for example, where they can talk to people in the cities at the same time, their local populations. And I think that's really the leveler. Video and voice are the great levelers in India. It's really breaking down the geographical kind of divide. And I think you're going to see that in the next few weeks. You'll see already that, some of our customers already use our product catering to the Tier 2 cities because of our bitrate optimizations and also the lower bandwidth capabilities. So I think that's only going to increase. Healthcare, yoga trainers, you're going to see teachers, you're going to see knowledge professionals. We're going to see a new breed of Tier 2, Tier 3, professionals who are going to change the nature of this country. And I think all of it is free of cost. So they can come inside, start doing it. If they want more, they can talk to us, and we're happy to support them.
Yeah, fantastic. It's really nice, Jagat, that we are doing all these kind of things for the ecosystem, for the community. Now, Tough questions. A few questions, comments that are coming in from our viewers. So, the smaller towns we talked about. We talked about people. Affordability is also something that you're definitely staying focused on. And you have been part of NASCOM. You're also a member of TI, and you're working with us and trying to help all these founders with Startup Sunday, League of Extraordinary Startups, which you mentioned. So, what are the things that, in terms of coming together, right? Because one of the things that we talk about is innovation cluster, Jagat, correct? Whether it is academia, the NASCOMs, the TIEs, the founders, the investors, everyone comes together. So, what do you feel are some of the gaps that an association like TIE can address? Can we do a little bit more to help founders like you? And don't ask us for money, yeah? No money.
Right. We're a non-profit, so I won't ask for money. But I must say, hats off to organizations like TI and NASCOM. I think they are one of a kind organizations. They're already doing a lot for the founders. My personal view is that the founder is the one who's got to walk the walk. Uh, it's really not the business of governments or not profits to make a founder successful. That's not the agenda. So I would always disagree when someone says, is it a good incubator to go to? Is it a good accelerator? Look, that's not the business of the accelerator. The accelerator is there to give you a platform to kind of probably give you a nudge. But I think it's really about the startup and the founder. Coming to your specific question on association, I think one of the things that, my call out to founders, uh, always give before you get. And I think that's going to be my message all through. And I think when founders and startups begin to understand that, life's not short term, right? People may say that the startup lifespan maybe 2 years, 3 years, all of this stuff. Let's not think about it this way, right? As a startup founder, your career is really as a startup founder, and must look at it in the long term way. So typically, like how you would get into a social gathering, maybe with a family get together. You don't go into that family get together saying, what can I get out of this conversation? And I think you go there to kind of add fun and enjoy yourself. And I think that's very important with the founder community. There will always be opportunities. The opportunity, someone does not come into an event looking to get something. So my real view is that it's already there, right? We have such a wonderful group of founders on Founders Feed LXS. I think all of them are walking exactly what we are talking right now. They're all givers. And I think what goes around comes around, right? So that must just continue. And I think we're doing a fantastic job. I think all the community, the startup founders in India, I think we are one of a kind ecosystem.
Very nice. And I think, Jagat, tomorrow at 2:30, if I'm not mistaken, we have our friends talking, about a beautiful session on everyone's favorite topic, GST and tax and compliance and everything. So I think, but these kind of things should not be ignored. Okay. So as a startup founder, just want to tell you this. I think, Jagat, you also keep saying this, right? You spend a lot of time working with your CA, with your legal team to ensure that compliance, paperwork, everything is proper. And some of these sessions that we're all collaborating on is also to help the founders and entrepreneurs to get the compliance properly. Do your paperwork well, do all your due diligence well, and you'll be a whole series of stuff coming out from Vidphone. And definitely tomorrow we're going to be talking to a very interesting guy, isn't he, Derek from Futura? So
Oh, yeah.
that's someone, yeah, and I think you also know him pretty well, and he's been doing so much of work for the ecosystem, doesn't he, Jagat?
Oh, yes. I think firstly with the tomorrow 2:30 we have a session. Thanks to Vipul for coordinating. Thanks to AKGVG. They're a wonderful firm. We have Neetu and Tarun. They're going to be talking about GST, as Vijay said. My take on compliance is that you have to be compliant from day one, and there is no two ways about this. The moment you're a startup, you're not a proprietor. You're running a private limited corporation. You have to be very, very clear. At the moment, and if you want to run process-driven organization, compliance from day one is non-negotiable. I'm very lucky that my father has always drilled the sense of compliance into me, and it's compliance by default, right? We don't file returns for compliance. We file returns for us to look at ourselves and to actually do justice to the document. Of course, the fact that it's compliant is secondary, but for you to have that process, I think is number one. So really looking forward to the tax, MCA, and the topic is really wonderful. Many times you have issues with the GST and MCA portals, and it's typically with some kind of errors that you may have. So that session is going to cover a lot of these troubleshooting FAQ kind of points, I'm guessing. But I'm really looking forward to that session. Secondly, of course, Derek Jose from Flutura. I think they're a one of a kind industrial IoT company. Of course, I've had few interactions with Derek. Wonderful, wonderful person, and a matured founder. I think every startup founder can learn a lot from that conversation. And I want to thank Derek for taking his precious time in joining us tomorrow, and really looking forward. And I want to invite the whole startup founder ecosystem to join us and to learn from Derek.
Perfect, perfect. And Jagat, we should also talk about the informal boardroom startup Sunday. Three sessions, if I'm not mistaken, that we have done, and the fourth one is going to be on Sunday. So this is an open offer to everyone who's watching on Facebook and everything. I'll be moderating those sessions. Vidphone, of course, is being very kind to give the platforms, but would like to get revenue generating co-founders. Okay, I repeat, not just founders, but co-founders is always good. Women entrepreneurs, we would love to make them come onto the platform. And why the concept here is, since it's an informal boardroom, you actually prepare a simple slide, right, Jagat, what people did last time, talking about what are the couple of challenges that you're facing, so it can be shared with the audiences and with the other few board members, your informal board member team. And then we also see maybe we can offer solutions to some of these problems, and at the same time talk about challenges that still may not be totally solved, but can we group and crowdsource some solutions or inputs or insights. So these are some of the open offers. Thank you to Jagat and Akhil, of course, from his team, who are giving this wonderful platform. And thank you so much, Jagat, for this. And any closing comments, because it's precisely 30 minutes almost since you started off.
You have
And
to be disciplined on time. So,
yes,
quick parting note from my end: informal boardroom is something that I think, as a founder, I wanted myself. Many founders have a sense of loneliness, I feel, and I've been also running the business for a long time, and I must say that founder fatigue, founder loneliness, this always happens. But it's really not that way, right? I mean, that's the reason we have this. Many times, many founders, have done what you're thinking to do many times over. So why waste your time? Just hack through what you should. If you have a doubt, just come, put it up there, and I'm sure that we have enough founders, and we're also getting people on the raise hand as well. We're going to have a lot of other founders also join in. So there is no dearth of solutions to your problems, trust me. So just join us and benefit from it.
definitely. And there's a lot of interesting things happening from Thai as well, Jagat. Some of them, of course, you do know it because you're a member. But fourth, we have a couple of very nice founders, Geeta from Niramai and Gokul from Minion Labs, having a conversation. This is a startup thing, right? How are they managing this life, work balance, harmony challenges? That's number one. Number two, Jagat, I think you have already registered for the IoT Matrix that is happening in December, and that's going to be a big one, and of course all virtual. And then we have something very interesting, Jagat, happening on 13th of November, where the Welsh government and its officials and a few startups who have actually set up businesses in Wales are going to talk about, what are the things that work for them, what is the opportunities, what are the platforms from the government. So these are some of the things that we would love to have more and more of you founders. Just come see. This is again no charge. You don't have to pay a single rupee. I think, Jagat, you'd really like the B2B Sales Academy also, isn't it? There were some nice insights that came out from that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I think the last session, especially with the teardown, I think Rajan did a fantastic job at tearing it down. Absolutely brilliant. Must watch. And I think if there are some recordings for the members, maybe people should watch it.
Yes.
And of course, IoT Matrix. The future, I believe, of the Internet of Things is not only to do with kind of data, like a static data, but it's to do with dynamic data. It's to do with real-time communications. Man talking to a machine continuously, a machine talking to another machine continuously. And when you look at RTC, real-time communications, Vidphone, we have a big role to play in that. I'm really looking forward to IoT Matrix.
Fantastic, Jagat. And of course, all the sessions that are coming up tomorrow, there are two sessions. And then Sunday, we have this very beautiful session also, the founders coming together, the informal boardroom. Of course, I'm sure that we're going to be sharing all this on our various timelines. And thank you so much, Jagat. Take care, my friend. Good night. And
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night. Bye bye.
Good night.